On to the play of the week, man. No surprise here. We got to give it to RJ Rowan Barrett, a.k.a. Broadway Barrett. Excellent week for RJ. 21 points per game, 6 rebounds, 2 dimes, 52% from downtown.
35 points last night.
Yeah.
So I like the way that he's approaching the game this year. What really impresses me is how he attacked this offseason, and we're starting to see it pay dividends this season, right? Watching him against the Pelicans, I think he put on a clinic of all the stuff that he worked on. Where
Everything.
It's just off the like pull-up jumpers, catch and shoot, off the dribble, just attacking the rack. Everything he asked him to do, moving off ball, he was doing all of that and playing clutch. Just when you thought the game was out of hand, we had RJ just ice in his veins, just come through in the clutch and just keep adding to that lead, even when he came down close to the wire in the fourth quarter.
I think, and JD, what I liked, especially last night, as Alex said, was you saw everything, the whole bag was on display last night. Everything that he worked on, the step back threes, the pull-ups, the mid-range, you know what I mean? The little one-hand floaters in the lane. I mean, you literally saw everything this kid was working on full display from the opening tip. I mean, the way that he's a threat, which we've seen over the past, this wasn't a surprise. The way that he's a threat off the pick and roll. And, you know, once we lost Mitch last year, I think that hurt RJ. I think that was a big factor in RJ's decrease in playmaking, because Mitch was sort of like his safety valve. Saw that, boom, last night, first half, 3 dimes straight to Mitch. Got a nice one to Taj to close the game. I love the fact that they put it in his hands. They trusted him to close the game for them last night, and he delivered. These two stats, though, is what I really like about him. As Alex said, finishing at the rim. You know, last year he finished shooting 55% at the rim, which is atrocious, 20th percentile. Rookie year, he was 54%, about the same. So far through 6 games, very early, 74% at the rim. And you can see it. You know, you watch the tape, he's finishing left hand, right hand with contact, finishing strong. 74% at the rim. That is excellent. Another key stat for me that I like about him, I always talked about how we need to get him out in transition more. You know, from his rookie year, that was always on display. Get him out there in transition, get Obi in transition. We have the pieces. Last year, 18% of his shots came in transition. Shot 1.11 points per possession, and that was good for 45th percentile. So far this year, 24% of his shots coming in transition, 1.3 points per possession, 75th percentile. Got to get out there and run with him.
You know, we talked about, you know, what type of jump is he going to make and what does that really mean? And in my estimation, it just meant, you know, I just want him to try to reach that 20-point mark. That, to me, that would be the next step offensively. I know some fans want 25 and they want that superstar numbers, but understanding the energy that he is going to extend on the defensive end, taking that defensive challenge. I mean, you know, I thought that played a part in some of his slow start. You know, his first 3 games, he only shot 39% from the field, 21% from 3, only averaged 12 points. And it even affected him at the free throw line, shooting 60%. As the player of the game this past week, he shot 89% from the free throw line with the same free throw attempts, average almost 22 points, 6 rebounds, 56% from the field, and 68% on 3-pointers. That's a 5 3-point attempts per game. And I think it's also him just growing into his role and just taking time. RJ, I'm impressed by his performance last night, but there's going to be games where he's going to face some elite defense, and he's going to face some elite one-on-one defenders. As you see around the NBA, elite offensive players, what they do is they use the pick and roll, and they have some chemistry with another player, the 2-man game, and that allows you to get to your spots. And that's where him finishing at the rim comes into play. Facts. Because as you mentioned, him finishing at the rim, to me, he doesn't even need that many moves. If you can just finish at the rim and make your free throws, get to the free throw line, make your free throw, he's going to easly average 20 points per game.
So I want to talk about some details that I'm seeing with what we're talking about, if you don't mind. So to start off with RJ, I think the thing that I'm seeing the most, so first of all, offensively, when it comes to going to the basket, if you watch him go to the basket, he's looking at his opponents a lot of the time and making really small moves. And this speaks to a surgical level of work, because he he's strong. We've known that for a while. And that leads me to what I'm seeing on the defensive side of the floor. His strength was always going to be advantage, right? Like we always, like people lamented him for not being Zion and jumping out the gym. But his strength is almost supernatural because he's been this strong since he's like 18 years old, which is crazy. What I'm also seeing when I look at him play defense is that his reaction time is insane.
Yep.
I don't know if this comes from film or if he's just comfortable or if this is just a DNA came out of his DNA because his dad plays hoops. But if you actually watch closely those possessions where he's defending Tatum and DeRozan, like he gets beat a little bit, but he bends, but he doesn't break. And so when those guys beat him a little the first way and then they go the other way, RJ immediately reacts, almost like an NBA 2K character, like warping into the next animation the way he's not supposed to. And for me, it's a great thing in the early season to see a guy playing great defense, but I always look at it as it's early season, guys ain't in shape, you never know how it's going to go. But that looks like good money. 100. That looks like a long-term thing.
Yeah, well, number one, going into last night's game, man, 31.3 field goal percentage, defensive field goal percentage, which was best amongst wings. And even after that 35% outburst last night, he still wasn't pleased with his defense. Said he wasn't happy with his defensive performance last night. And, that, again, you spoke about his work ethic, spoke about the foundation, and that's why I just like this kid for us, man. I like this kid for us. Despite the athletic shortcomings or whatever people might say about him, his work ethic is what's going to carry him over. And you see it on both ends of the floor. He's putting in the work.